Okay, hi there traders and welcome to Trade the Structure. So I've got another live session recorded for you, a couple of trades. So we did some on the Nikkei and then later on it was the Hang Seng. So it was the open on the Hang Seng for the 5-minute trading day, which we'll walk through also. Okay, so I'm just going to walk through some of the price action and some of the reason behind the trades. Now you can see what I'm just marking up on the screen now. I'm just marking up the levels. I've got a couple of good solid support zones. So you can see how it's pushed into those support zones a couple of times now, but it's been rejected quite nicely. So what I'm really looking at is the market for a bit of a bounce, and I've drawn that up there. That's sort of what I am anticipating. I want to work off a higher load. I don't want to just jump in willy-nilly when the market's starting to rise because it could easily just roll over and break that support. So what you're really looking for is some sort of confirmation or some sort of price action that suggests buyers, not apart from myself, are willing to step in and protect higher levels, okay, or willing to just step in for a little buying action and a bit of a push back up through the highs. Okay, so you'll see that play out in just a moment. Okay, so what you'll see, I'm on the 5-minute chart here, and you can see that there's a good little support zone, which it has actually rejected into a few times. So what I'm really looking for, we've had those 3 green candles up. I'm looking for that first pullback to see if that gets supported, and then I want to take action and start to jump in on the long side for a deeper corrective move higher. Okay, it's action stations here. You see that the market's actually pulled back. It's found some support. I've marked that in a yellow horizontal line. And now it's just starting to break back up again, okay? So your buyers are starting to push it up. It's held a little minor lower high. And I like it when there's 2 moves down, okay? You got the first little leg down, which has popped down. Then it retraced, made a little minor lower high and pushed back down, but it got held up at the same level. So happy to dive in there. That's the first trade. So we're just going to see how this plays out and then potentially buy a bit later on. Okay, as I promised, second trade here. I've got conviction in this, so I'm just adding to that initial trade. I think it's holding up quite nicely. And we're going to get that higher low. So like I said before, I'm looking for the sort of 2 moves. So we've got that one initial pump up, which took out some lower highs, okay, on the original move up. And then we've had this little pullback, and then I'm jumping in for the second leg up, okay? So don't know where that's going to go to. Don't know if it's going to get hold up at previous highs and then fall over. But I've got conviction that there's generally, once you start to get up off a strong support zone, I think it's going to go a lot higher, okay? So the question is where to? Okay, it's about here where you see the market starts to take off and go in my favor. Now I've placed in my partial exit, so I want to take some as it rises. Okay, I'm not going to muck around and try to go to the big hit, especially the way the markets, the way they are at the moment. They're very uncertain. They could spike up, spike down, out of the blue. We've seen that the last few days. So what I'm really trying to do is that if it starts to kick up like I expect, I'm going to start to scale out into some of that strength. All right, so we've just fast forwarded it. The price action's kicked on. It's a few minutes from that first little pop up. Now we're just within distance of taking the first target. There it goes. So we've just locked away some gains there, locked away a partial exit. Now you'll see just above that, not too far up, I've got another partial exit. And I think actually the market kicks on quite quick. It sort of rips higher. And I don't really have too much of a chance to move anything around, and it starts going straight through one target into the next within the space of probably, I don't know, a few seconds or less than a minute or so. So as you can see, the price action is going in our favor. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm happy to tighten up some of the risk as well. I don't want to leave the risk too wide to, if you take your first partial and it starts to crash back down again. If it crashes back down, I've got to admit I'm wrong. All right, so I'm happy just to tighten that risk up. There you go, second partial just done, and I think any second now it whips up to, there you go, and it takes out the third. So far so good. What you'll see, I'll just start to adjust different things, move it around, and then edge out of the final sort of bit of the trade. All right, we're coming down to the last leg of that trade there. I've got just a small piece left. So I've locked away all the gains, tightened up the risk, and you'll see I actually raised the risk there. I'm happy to lock it in, and there you go. It's just been taken out as we're watching the trading screen there. So you'll see that flick over. The trade's gone. It's all closed out, and you can see that big spike there. So I took some of the gains off into that spike. Now I think later on it does actually, have a bit of a pullback, consolidate, and go a bit higher. But my trade's done and dusted. I think it was an average around the 65 to 70 point range over the partials. Some better, some worse. But all in all, it was a good little trade. Quite happy with that. And then we move on to the next one. Okay, so there you go. There's the results there. You can see that the 10, 10, 10, then 5 and 5s as I was edging out. So the entries and the exits there. Okay, so on to the last trade for the day, or the only other trade for the day. It was on the 5-minute trading day for the Hang Seng. Now, this was an ideal trade for you, you traders out there with not much time. That's the strategy. It's based around, not spending too much time at the computer, not having to muck around too much with the trades. And this is the perfect trade, the perfect setup. So you can see I've placed it a little bit late, just coming into the open, and then I've got my order in there to buy on the break, and then my profit target 30 points above that. And you can see that it's just rammed straight through the entry target, and then a few seconds later, straight through the exit. So 30 points locked away. I think I had something wrong. I've got to clean up my cookies on my computer, but you can see that it's gone straight up and through both. And then we'll take a look at the trades in just a moment. Okay, and there you go. That was the entry at 19002 and the exit at 19036. Trade done. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll speak to you again soon.